And I want to speak to you in a broad way about labor and social security and church matters. And that Ministry of Labor and Social Security and Ecclesiastical Affairs is not a very sexy ministry. But I'll tell you one thing, it pervades every single aspect of life in St. Kitts and Nevis. But before I get into that, I want to reflect on some of the things which were said, especially by Minister Hamilton. And I want us to look back over the years at what has been transpiring and what has transpired in our parliament. Look at who behaved bad in parliament. Look at how they behave in parliament. Look at how they are still behaving in parliament in opposition and still seeking to cast aspersions, as we say, and castigate people. But you know, the problem really is that the deputy speaker, like the speaker brand before him, is seeking to restore a sense of decency to parliament. And there's some people who can't understand decency because they're not decent. I'm not calling any name, that's a general statement. But that really is the question, is the crux of the matter. They're so used to having their own way and acting in a way which is despicable that they cannot understand why the speaker would want to call them to order. And that is what I want us as the citizens of this country to bear in mind. When we listen to Parliament by radio, those of you who were there on Friday, those of you who were there when we had the budget discussion, and you come out, you hear the comments are, Parliament is like a fish market. An end has got to be put to that. And the speaker is seeking to bring an end to that and restore decency and dignity to the House. And therefore, the attempt by the leader of the opposition today on radio to defend what I consider to be an indefensible position of bad behavior and disrespect must not be accepted by the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And I feel, and I know Speaker Perkins very well, and I know Speaker Perkins will not condone any disrespect or any breach of the rules of Parliament, no matter from whom. He's stopped our ministers from getting into areas which he considered to be out of order. And that is the hallmark of being fair, being balanced. But it's not the fear of partiality or impartiality, whichever they want to speak about. It is because the opposition leader feels that he still runs things, but not here. He don't run things anymore. We get on to the business at hand. What is the Ministry of Labor doing which is different under Team Unity from what it was before? Under Team Unity, the Ministry of Labor has adopted a positive approach to labor issues in St. Kitts and Nevis. I will say to you that there are some very great problems which we're trying to deal with, and that is to establish a labor code which will encompass all of the 22 pieces of labor legislation which exists in St. Kitts and Nevis. Bring it under one umbrella so that we don't have to be looking here and there for legislation to guide the behavior or the action in terms of labor arrangements in St. Kitts and Nevis. That is one thing. We are also looking at working closely in collaboration, not in contest and conflict with the labor union representatives or representatives of employees. We're looking to work with the representatives of business owners through their Chamber of Industry and Commerce. And the government's Ministry and Labor of Department, we see ourselves as being the guiding light as to how labor relations should function in St. Kitts and Nevis, and bring a sense of seriousness, a sense of clarity to what employers, that is the business owners, those who hire people to do work for them, whether you are a one-man employer, a small business, or a large corporation, you have to be guided by the laws of the land. You can't just do what you like, when you like, how you like. Choose to do what you like, how you like in contravention of the law, then the Labor Department, the Labor Ministry will deal with that according to the law. I want to say to you that we have begun to see a very great difference in the way employers, that is businesses, and employees, representatives are functioning. Because we do not want to have a situation where we have ongoing tension in the labor place, in the workplace. We do not want to have a situation where we have threats of strikes, or people walking off the jobs. Those things don't help in the growth of the economy. It does not set a good example for investors whom we want to attract to come to create jobs. Because if there is unrest or no clarity in terms of how labor and how employers should act, then this could lead to uncertainty in the marketplace, where we have investment and investors seeking to come to bring their money to create jobs, which is an important part of the growth in the economy. And it's not only people coming in from outside, foreign investment. We are talking of people here who invest their money, local business people who want to expand the business. They must know that when they make that investment to expand the business, to create employment, that they can be satisfied that the people whom they hire to work will give a fair and honest day's work for a fair and honest day's pay. That is where we are looking. How are we seeking to achieve that? I have instructed, mandated, requested the Department of Labor officers, through the Acting Labor Commissioner now, to send officers from the Labor Department, and Prime Minister, we'll have to get some more labor officers. We are down about 5 or 6 because of the work we want to do, to visit all of the workplaces in an ongoing basis. We are not here to wait for complaints to come for us to adjust those complaints. We're taking a proactive approach to the business of labor arrangement. And the report from the Acting Labor Commissioner is that they will be doing at least 25 site visits every month. The reason for that is complaints about what happens on building sites, complaints about what happens in places of employment, in terms of the safety, in terms of the conditions of work. These are things which we have to address, so that the people, our people who work in those establishments, whether it's at Port Zante, or on the Peninsula, or at the Marriott, or at OTI, or at TDC, or Horsfords, or wherever people work, that we have to be satisfied that they are treated fairly and in accordance with the law. I do not believe that we have to wait for complaints to happen. The approach which we are taking in Team Unity government for the Labor Ministry is to put in place those conditions, make sure that there's a greater understanding so that we minimize any complaints which can arise. And I'll say to you, if we get a complaint, even if it is an anonymous complaint, that there is a threat or whiff of something happening at a workplace, once it gets to me, I instruct the Commissioner of Labor through the Permanent Secretary to go and find out what is happening, do the investigation, so that we can ensure that we settle the matter before it flares up into a strike. We had one such situation happening at the cable. We were in Parliament at the time. But once we got the information that there was this threat, we were able to send out the Labor Commissioner. We have a problem at hand, go and see what it is, get involved in the dialogue, talk to all sides. You're not talking to the employer alone, the business owner. You have to talk to the employees as well, so that we can get a sense of what's happening to address the problem. And that was settled the very same day that we heard about it. That's one example. We are hearing about, or we've heard about other things, and because we deal with them in a way very quickly, very precisely, professionally, and promptly, you don't hear about the tension. We do not want our people to be disadvantaged, and we do not want our employers to feel that they're not getting fair work from the people whom they pay to work. And while I'm on that, I want to say to our people, those of you who are here, whether you are a laborer, whether you are a professional, whether you are a school teacher, a civil servant, wherever you work, wherever you provide your expertise, your labor, your energy, you should do it in a way which is in accordance with the rules, but also do it fairly. Don't try to gyp the employer. And employers, we don't want to try and gyp your workers. Don't short pay them. Make sure that if they are unwell and this is justified by a doctor's certificate, that they get the time so that they can recuperate. That is fairness in the workplace, decent work, fair employment arrangements. What else are we doing in the Ministry of Labor? We're engaging in training for the business places. A business place wants to get a training, get a greater understanding of what the labor laws are about. The Labor Department sends its officers in to engage in training so that they can have a better appreciation of the laws and the conditions under which people work. That is what we are engaged in. In addition to that, we know that we have a situation where some people feel that they can't find a job. We don't know if they're trying to find a job. The Labor Department, under the Ministry of Labor, we have established a roster where anyone who feels or is in search of a job can put his name or her name with the Labor Department, indicating qualifications, indicating the type of job which he or she would like to have. And meanwhile, the Labor Department also visits the workplaces where the employers may have jobs available but nobody knows. They get that information, they create a demand for labor, what jobs are available, and they begin to match up those who need jobs and where the jobs are. We're seeking to make a difference in what we are doing in the Ministry of Labor in St. Kitts and Nevis under Team Unity. And we believe we are managing it very well. As I said, we have had threats of walkouts, threats from employers, threats from employees, but because we are able to intervene in a timely manner, we are able to stem any fallout from those areas. We have a program which we are seeking to promote, a program which has been going for many years, and that program is the Canada Caribbean Seasonal Agricultural Workers Program, where people from St. Kitts and Nevis, people from the OECS countries, St. Vincent, Grenada, Dominica, and so on, they go to Canada usually about March, April, and they're there working until maybe September, October on the farms, helping to reap fruits or other crops. And they provide their labor at a reasonable rate of return. This December, before the end of year, we convened a meeting with some of the workers who had returned from Canada to find out really what are the conditions under which they are working. Are they happy with the conditions? Are they happy with their remuneration? Are they happy with the other arrangements? So that we could help them to make it easier for them to participate. But we really want to do a bit more, in that we want to get more of our people who want to participate to do so. Why I'm saying that, there the farm workers get at a base 11 Canadian dollars an hour, which is higher than our minimum wage in EC dollars. Our minimum wage, I think, is $9.80, I think. Yes, per hour, EC. So you can understand if someone goes away for 6 months and works in that program, that they can make a pretty decent income over that six-month period. However, we are observing some challenges which we were able to ferret out as we discussed with the workers. And we intend to meet with the Farmers Association in Canada and with the coordinating person here who is representing our Caribbean workers to make sure we have a greater understanding and take advantage of the opportunity, because it is a good program for those who are in the agricultural field. The other matter which we're looking at is training for the staff, so that the staff, when they go out to speak to employees or employers, or when they have to deal with an issue of labor relations, they understand what they're supposed to be doing and do it effectively. I am not about being partial. I do not like the business of who you know and who you don't know. Those things have no place in the way we operate in Team Unity. If you are entitled, or if you have a problem and it's justified that you be remunerated, we ensure that that happens, because we investigate and we make sure that we follow the law, we follow the rules. And if we follow the rules, we can't go wrong. There's no place, even in this, for a limited discretion, if any at all. Because when there's a severance matter, there's a formula to calculate severance. I can't say, well, I believe. There's no belief. Once the facts are there and we plug in the information, we get it done. The Social Security is going to, we're making sure that people pay their Social Security contributions. Some workers say when they go, there's no benefit for them because there have been no Social Security contributions made for them, even though monies are being deducted. We're going to be very strict on that. And if you're guilty of withholding contributions for workers, well, that is a possibility. But we certainly will make sure we deal with it. But I will say to workers, if you have any questions in your mind that your employer is not making your contributions, you can ask to see your contribution, see what is there for you. Don't wait until something happens. We want to take the whole matter to a different level, so that we stay ahead of the game, that we make sure our people who give labor, who give their energy, whether you are in a white collar, blue collar laborer, that you get fairness. That is important. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say to you that Team Unity Government has worked and will continue to work for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And we see a better day, and there are better days ahead for us as we speak. Thank you very much, and God bless you.